She falsely accused me, my parents threw me out, and I lost everything. Now her own husband found her secret journal. Last year, my sister got married, and, to be honest, it's been a total mess ever since. Her husband, let's call him Bill, is divorced and has 2 kids, -7 and 11, from his ex. The kids don't like my sister. Actually, they don't like any of us, and it's clear it's all because of their mom. She's just difficult. And honestly, things are pretty tense in their house. To make matters more complicated, my sister is pregnant, which should be an exciting time, but with everything going on, it's hard to focus on the good stuff. The kids don't want her to be part of the family. They're rude to her and disrespectful to all of us. They throw tantrums, and the only person who can calm them down is their dad. Anyone else trying to step in just gets ignored. I don't blame the kids though. It's clear their mom has a huge influence on them, and she's been nothing but trouble. She crashed my sister's wedding and caused a scene, even tried to take the kids away when it wasn't her time. A couple of weeks after that, she showed up at a party at our house, telling everyone her kids didn't belong there. A few weeks later, she did it again at a cousin's birthday. She stood outside the venue, yelling at us. The kids wanted to go with her, and that turned into a whole fight. It was just one thing after another. Before the wedding, there was more drama, but I'll save you from that. Anyway, Bill took her back to court, trying to get her to stop showing up at family events. He even had proof of how she was behaving, hoping for a change in custody. But all he got was a warning, and nothing changed. She kept showing up, causing chaos. Turns out, the kids were telling her about our plans, and she was showing up to stop them from being with my sister or her side of the family. I found out just before Christmas that she had run off Bill's girlfriend. After the divorce, Bill had started dating someone, but his ex scared her off. And, of course, my sister knew about all of this and still went ahead and married him. The ex doesn't bother Bill's family, but she definitely doesn't want her kids getting close to another woman. It's like she's doing everything she can to keep them from being part of another family. Christmas rolled around, and Bill had the kids. He invited both families over, and of course, the ex showed up and made a scene again. The police were called, as usual, and she got removed. Bill ended up back in court with the same result: a warning. Now, here's where things get a little tricky. My fiancé and I got engaged a few months ago, and we finally set a wedding date last month. All she wanted was a summer wedding, and I just wanted a day where we wouldn't have Bill's ex showing up and causing problems. So we picked a week when Bill wouldn't have his kids. We didn't tell anyone that was the reason, but my sister and Bill picked up on it. They were annoyed we didn't take the custody schedule into account. We tried to explain that we had, just not in the way they thought, and we apologized, but at that point, it was too late to change things. We really hoped they'd still come. Then my sister said I was excluding 2 young family members by picking that date. She was upset, and I started questioning if we had made the wrong call. So, here I am, asking. AITA? I've had a lot to process over the past 2 weeks, and it's been a roller coaster of emotions. Everything has changed so fast, and I didn't expect any of this. It's like one moment my life was on track, and the next, it just shattered. The hardest part, though, is that I still don't know where to go from here. After the whole Christmas thing, I stayed at Mike's place for a while. His family has been amazing. Way better than my own, honestly. They took me in without hesitation, and they've kept me from completely losing my mind. Still, even with their support, it's hard to sleep at night. Every time I close my eyes, I think about the way my dad threw me out in the snow like I was some stranger he didn't know. That image keeps coming back to me, and it's like a sick reminder of how everything turned upside down. I've been thinking a lot about what happened. I know people say you can't control how others behave, but it's hard not to blame myself. Why didn't I see it coming? I never thought Karen would go that far. But looking back, I see the little things. The way she would always twist the truth or stir up drama when things weren't about her. I never realized how deep it all ran, though. Mike's parents have been trying to get me to focus on moving forward, and I'm doing my best, but it's hard. I had to drop out of college because my parents were paying for it, and I had no way to afford tuition on my own. It feels like my whole future just disappeared in the blink of an eye. My savings from my high school job can't even cover one semester, let alone a full year. It's crushing, knowing how hard I worked for that degree, and now it feels like it's just gone. Mike's dad helped me find a job at the warehouse where he works, and I've been working 60 to 70 hours a week between that and washing dishes at a restaurant. It's exhausting. I don't even have time to think about anything else. I'm just trying to make enough money to stay afloat. I found a tiny studio apartment in a pretty bad part of town. The building smells like mildew, and the hallways are narrow and dark. But it's mine. At least for now. I'm still taking a couple of online classes through community college when I can. It's not easy. Trying to study after working all day is brutal, but I'm trying to keep it together. Mike's mom even helped me get a cheap laptop from a pawn shop so I could keep up with schoolwork. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. Marissa has been amazing. She's the only one who hasn't given up on me. We've been able to talk here and there, though it's harder now that my parents have put all these restrictions on her. They've gone as far as installing a parental control app on her phone, so she can't reach out to me without them knowing. It's like they're trying to control her every move. She sneaks around them to keep in touch with me through her friends' phones. I can tell she's hurting too, but she's still standing by me, even though I know it's costing her. She told me about how they've been treating her. They've started telling everyone I was always a problem kid, that they should have seen this coming. They've completely rewritten the narrative of my life, making up things that never happened just to justify their actions. The worst part is hearing them talk about me like I'm some stranger they never knew. I can't even recognize the people who raised me anymore. What makes it worse is the fact that they're completely in denial. My mom has joined some online support group for parents of troubled children and spends all her time posting about how she missed the warning signs. My dad hasn't said a word to me, but I can't imagine what he's thinking. I can't help but wonder if he regrets what he did, but part of me doesn't care. They don't deserve to come back into my life just because they finally realized they were wrong. The hardest thing is that I can't undo what they did. I'll never forget the way they threw me away without a second thought. It's like my entire childhood was a lie. They didn't even give me the chance to defend myself. I'm not even mad at Karen anymore. She's just a symptom of the bigger problem. My parents let her tear apart our family without questioning her once. I'm starting to accept that maybe I'll never get the closure I need. Maybe my family was never really family. It's been a painful lesson, but I'm learning to move forward without them. I'm trying to focus on my job, my classes, and building a future without relying on anyone who doesn't believe in me. I don't know if I'll ever rebuild the relationship with my parents. Maybe I'll never want to. I wish I could say I'm okay, but I'm not. I'm just trying to survive. The worst part is that I don't even know what I'm surviving for yet. It's hard to keep going when the people you trusted the most aren't even around to offer you a hand. But I'm going to keep pushing forward. One day at a time. Marissa is the only reason I'm still holding on. She's the only person who hasn't turned her back on me. I think she's starting to realize what I've been through too. I can see it in her eyes when we talk. She doesn't trust our parents anymore either. It's a small relief knowing that she's not fully on their side, but it also breaks my heart that she's had to deal with all of this at such a young age. As for Karen, I know she's still out there, causing trouble. I heard she's been trying to get back into Bill's life, and I don't know how much more of this I can take. She's still manipulating everyone around her, and it feels like she'll never stop. But I'm done trying to figure her out. I've got my own life to rebuild. So, for now, I'm just doing what I can to stay afloat. The rest will come when it comes. I've had a lot of time to think, and I know that at some point, I'll look back on this and understand it better. But for now, I'm just trying to survive the chaos. The last 2 weeks have been a blur. Honestly, I didn't expect things to escalate this much. I didn't think it was possible for my life to get worse than it already was, but somehow, it did. After everything that happened with Christmas, I thought I'd hit rock bottom, but then I found out some stuff that just made everything worse. First off, I have a job now. Mike's dad helped me get a spot at the warehouse where he works, and I'm also washing dishes at a restaurant on the side. I'm working a ton of hours. Most days, I don't even know if it's day or night anymore. The work is hard, but it's the only thing keeping me going right now. At least I'm not sitting around with nothing to do. I got a tiny studio apartment not too far from Mike's place. It's not great. The walls are thin, and it smells like old wood, but it's mine. It's not much, but it's enough for now. I'm just trying to survive, one day at a time. Mike's family has been incredible. They're kind, and they've opened up their home to me. I can't remember the last time I felt so cared for. It's been a relief, but I also feel this guilt for imposing on them. I'm trying to be a good guest, but at the same time, I'm not their responsibility. I don't want to burden them, but I can't help it. I don't know where else to go. I've been in touch with Marissa a lot. She's been the only one to really reach out. Our parents are still ignoring me, like I never existed. They don't even want to hear from me. Every time I try to reach out, it's like hitting a wall. Marissa keeps me updated on what's going on with them, though. They're pretending like nothing happened. They're acting like I'm the one who disappeared. They've told people I was always a problem, that I wasn't ever a good kid. They've even gone so far as to say I've always been rebellious, even though I was a pretty quiet kid growing up. It's like they're making up these memories to justify throwing me away. One thing I've realized is that they've completely erased my existence. Marissa told me they're getting rid of my stuff. They've packed up my room, throwing away everything that reminds them of me. It's like I never even mattered. That hurts more than I can say. They're rewriting everything, and I don't even get a chance to fight back. I'm just gone. I had to get my head around the fact that I'm not coming back from this anytime soon. My parents aren't going to suddenly change their minds. I spent a lot of time thinking about that, about how easy it was for them to just cast me aside. My dad still hasn't said a word. I haven't heard from him since he kicked me out. He hasn't even tried to reach out. It's been weeks, and he's silent. And then, there's Karen. I don't even know where to start with her. The fact that she's still wreaking havoc in Bill's life just adds fuel to the fire. I found out that she's been doing this for years. It's not just me. She's done this to other people in the family, too. I wasn't the first target, and I won't be the last. I heard from Bill that Karen ran off another woman after their divorce. He had been dating someone for a while after things ended with Karen, but guess what? She did the same thing to her. She drove her away. She's been using her kids as pawns, manipulating them into hating anyone who could come into their life. I was just the latest person she needed to get rid of. And for some reason, my sister just keeps letting her. I don't get it. How can she stand by and watch this happen? How can she keep letting Karen tear apart every part of her life? I don't know if it's guilt or what, but my sister seems to be letting Karen control everything. I get that she's her family, but she's hurting so many people by doing this. She's letting Karen manipulate her and everyone around her, and it's like she doesn't even see it. I found out that the ex made another scene around Christmas, of course. Bill had the kids that day, and she showed up at his place. She didn't even try to hide it, just stormed in, demanding the kids leave with her. The police had to be called, and they removed her again. That's become a regular thing now. They show up, make a scene, and get escorted out. And nothing happens. Nothing ever changes. She never gets punished for it. The courts just give her a slap on the wrist. It's like there's no end to it. I think the worst part of all this is realizing how small the people you love can make you feel. My parents, my sister, they all just closed off. They've chosen her over me, and that's the reality I have to live with now. It's like they never really cared about me at all. I'm still trying to figure out what happens next. I know I'm going to keep moving forward, but I'm not sure where that's going to take me. Right now, it's just about getting through the day. I don't really feel like I'm living, just surviving. The past few weeks have been such a blur that I don't know what to think anymore. But, there's one thing I've learned: people will let you down. You can't expect everyone to have your back when you need them the most. And that's hard. It's hard to realize that the people you thought would always be there for you won't be. They'll choose whatever they need to choose in the moment, and if that means throwing you out, then that's what they'll do. I'm starting to understand why James disappeared. He cut off contact years ago, and I always thought it was weird, but now it makes sense. It's hard to live with people who don't believe in you. It's hard to stay when everything feels fake. I don't think I can go back to that life. I don't think I can pretend like everything is okay when it's not. I'm just trying to survive the next few weeks. I don't have all the answers, but I know one thing: this isn't the end of me. It's just a hard chapter, and it's going to take time to turn the page. I just hope the next chapter is better than this one. Everything's a mess right now, but I guess it's starting to feel a little clearer. Things didn't get better the way I thought they would. Actually, in some ways, they got worse. But at least now I know what I have to do, even if it's not the way I imagined things turning out. After everything happened, being thrown out of my own house, the false accusations, losing my family, I was lost. I couldn't wrap my head around how quickly everything changed. 1 minute, I was a normal kid in college, and the next, I was sleeping on Mike's couch, trying to piece together a life that felt like it had been stolen from me. The whole thing with my family has been so draining. I spent weeks just trying to figure out why they wouldn't believe me. Why they wouldn't listen. My dad hasn't spoken to me since that night, and my mom. She's still pretending like everything's fine. They've erased me from their lives. I guess that's just the way it is now. I can't keep waiting for them to change their minds. Marissa's still the only one who hasn't turned her back on me. She's the one person I trust. It's been so hard for her too, though. I know she's stuck in the middle, torn between us. She's tried to reach out to me in secret, but it's like my parents have put up a wall around her. They've been controlling her, checking her phone, telling her what she can and can't do. But she still finds ways to talk to me, and I'm so grateful for that. I've had to accept that my family isn't coming back. They've made their choices, and there's nothing I can do to change that. It hurts, more than I thought it would. I keep thinking about the good times, how everything was before all of this, and it feels like it was a different life. But I can't keep living in the past. I can't keep hoping they'll wake up and realize they were wrong. The thing is, I don't even know if I can forgive them for what they did. It's not even about the lie. It's about how they just gave up on me. No questions asked. No chance to explain myself. I was just thrown away. And it makes me wonder if I even mattered to them at all. I'm trying to focus on the future, but it's hard. I'm working 2 jobs, still living in that tiny apartment, trying to save up enough to get my life together. I don't have the same goals I had before, though. Before, I thought I'd graduate and start my career, but now it feels like I'm just trying to get through the next day. Just trying to keep moving forward, even though it's not the life I imagined. Mike's family has been great to me, but I still feel out of place. It's hard to let people help when you're not used to it. I feel like I'm always taking, and I don't know if I'm giving back enough. I know they're doing it because they care, but I can't help but feel guilty. I don't want to be a burden, but right now, I don't have much choice. I've started working on rebuilding my sense of self. It's not easy. I spent so much time wrapped up in what my family thought of me, trying to fit into their mold, trying to be the perfect son, the good kid. And when that all fell apart, I didn't know who I was anymore. I don't know if I fully figured it out, but I'm getting there. I've started setting small goals, things that feel achievable right now. Like paying rent on time, or getting through a week without falling into a pit of despair. I'm learning how to rely on myself, which is harder than I thought it would be. I don't know where I'll be in a year. I don't know if I'll ever forgive my parents, or if I'll ever get close to the family I used to have. But I'm trying to move on. It's not easy, and some days it feels impossible. But I'm not giving up. I can't. I've learned a lot about myself through all of this. I've learned that people will disappoint you, even the people you love. They'll hurt you in ways you never thought possible. But you can't let that stop you from moving forward. You have to keep going, even when it feels like the world's against you. Because in the end, all you really have is yourself. And maybe that's the hardest lesson of all. So, I keep going. I keep working, I keep studying, and I keep trying to find pieces of who I am again. And maybe, just maybe, I'll get there. I'll build something new, even if it's not the life I thought I would have. But I'll build it on my own terms.